Screenwriting motivation. We are doing a new playlist based on screenwriting motivation. You can look at life and you will see a lot of characters. You can see a lot of situations. And you go through the situations, you read books, you adapt. You can have your ideas from anywhere. We have been telling stories for a long time. But some stories stand out from the rest. You remember the characters, you remember the plots, you remember the events, you remember some particular scenes, you remember great acting performances that came out of that story because the story was containing those characters, events, plot points, and everything came together to tell the story. And the writing, the text, and the situations, and how the story was getting developed, it can motivate people. Not only the writers are writing it, but the actors can get motivated by the words and how it is structured, how the entire narrative is being told, surprise elements, how you are anticipating something and something else is happening, how you are going through a deep moment. You can introspect. You are going through great moments of romance. You can go through great moments of thrill, suspense, genres, or a mix of genres. If I talk about, some people will stick to maybe one genre. They want to talk about all these things, and some people will tell the stories with a mix of genres. So we can talk about the techniques of storytelling, though we don't want to mention it much. We can talk about the group where we can actually have a lot of fun. We can do, kind of addas, and, we can have a lot of fun discussing, characters, stories, books, literature, comparative literature, literary criticism. We can do all these things. So that is a space for that. And the fun part, how it is giving a lot of entertainment, how it is evoking a lot of emotions. And here, screenwriting motivation, what is giving you the motivation to write scripts? A moment of your life, you are going to some place and you are looking at something, and that one moment can inspire you to write an entire script. You may start writing it for a while, you can leave it for a while, you can keep it in the shelf, and then you can take it again, and then you can improvise, then you can write. Maybe years after you can work on that script, maybe few months after you can work on the script. You need to get into the mood, you need to get into that process, you need to get into that situation where you want to feel comfortable, where you can write that script, that particular story, those characters. So a lot of effort. It's a tough thing. Not everybody can do that. It's a tough thing, and we don't discuss those things much. However, what we can discuss is things, philosophies, art, criticism, then drama, romance, great moments of life, situations, and so many things we can see in life. This is not for the boring people. Whenever we are doing this Hok Aloron, we are not doing it for boring people. They might come up with their own kind of criticism, directly or via. Directly, so they don't get any attention much, and they won't. Via, they try to get some attention using people, but that is also irrelevant, in fact. But it's for people who want to, write great scripts. And the problem is, some people don't like to tell stories in a great way. There are some people. Now, I don't mention these things or these people. These people cannot belong to, the art fraternity. These people cannot belong to the storytelling fraternity. These people cannot belong to the filmmaking fraternity. But the problem is they have a kind of confidence. They have a kind of role play, and then they can blame others and they can play those games. So writing is a lot of fun. And if you ask me, anybody can write. We all have a writer inside us. We can start with journaling, we can start with different kinds of writing. You can write a poem, you can write a song, you can write anything, worthy of, your emotions. Because if you are true to your emotions and while you are writing it, it will mean something to the audience too. So you can do all these things. But writing a film, writing a play, writing, something of drama, it requires a lot, because you need to really introspect, you need to understand the characters, and you are building a world from scratch. If you have a book, if you have something to rely on, already there is something, there is a creation, and you are adapting that to the cinematic medium, then it is much easier for you. It is a tough job, but it can be easier for you because you already have the characters, you already have the plot points or the events. Then you can tweak things a bit for the cinematic medium, but you have something to start with. And if you are writing a script from scratch, then you have to build the entire world. So it is not that easy. It is a really tough thing to do. And the characters, how you will create those characters, multi-dimensional characters people can relate to, the dialogues they will give, the dialogues they will utter. It is not only just to pretend something or to show something, because there are things like that. What separates a mediocre movie from a great movie? So you can go through that. Occasionally you can look at a great film, occasionally you can go through the science of storytelling, occasionally you can go through what makes a great movie, through dialogue, scenes, and what made you tick. So there are things like that. And people who don't understand English much, they will criticize screenwriting, they will criticize literature, they will criticize something. Maximum what they can come up with is they are writing a poem, and you imagine that they are writing a poem. Maximum they can talk about, they are writing a song, and you imagine that they are writing a song. They can talk about they are writing a script, and you imagine that they are writing a script. But if you write a script, if you write a song, if you write a poem, or whatever you want to write, genuinely, you need to go through that process. You need to understand the characters, you need to understand the situation, you need to understand the conflict, you need to understand, how you will convey those things through gestures, movements, dialogue, words. Because if it is a literary text, if it is a literature, if it is literature, if it is literary text, then you have the words. You are also building scenes, you are also building, chapters sometimes, you are also structuring it in different ways. Some people are doing it with multiple chapters, some people are using the act structure, some people have their own innovative structures, but you feel that the story is evolving, the story is progressing. So when you take that in the cinematic realm or the cinematic medium, then sometimes you omit something, sometimes you add something, sometimes there are pages, 4 pages, 10 pages, and you are writing one particular scene that is conveying what you want to convey in the cinematic medium. But those 4 pages made you write that particular scene, maybe a small scene, but you got that motivation, you got that idea, what you wanted to convey. Then if you add something, if you want to add few things, you can do that for the cinematic purposes. And it is because you understand it, that's why you can tell the story in a better way. So screenwriting motivation, you can just go out and you can find it. You can read a book, sometimes you think that I want to write this book, I want to make this movie, I want to make this book to a movie. There are instances like that. I have gone through these things. This is the book I am reading. Oh, I want to tell this story for movies. I want to make this movie based on this book. And it is also when you are reading literature, when you are, writing, some people can write really well, literature as well as, script. I'm not talking about that, though they can enjoy a lot. But if you are going for a literary text, it will evoke your imagination. That's a great thing, words evoking your imagination. So what you are doing is you are going through a book, a novel, novella, short story, whatever it is evoking your imagination. So you have your own world. So if you want to adapt that book, that will be a different movie. If you want to adapt that book, that will be a different movie. If you want to adapt that book, that can be an entirely different movie. Some people are also focusing more on visuals. Some people are focusing on, a mix of visual imagery and words. Some people want to express it through the words, but they are conveying some idea. They are conveying, something that the book is containing. The characters, theme, context, subtext, conflict, and, the concept of the book, the idea of the book, and what they want to convey. Sometimes what happens is you are adapting from a particular book, and then what you are doing is you are creating a sequel which is not based on that book, but you are continuing those characters. You are sometimes using flashback that can take you back to the plot points and you can relate to it. Sometimes you are creating characters. They have aged over time, chronological things. Sometimes, other characters, they are related to those characters. So all these things, an entire world you are building. So once you start to appreciate literature, once you start to appreciate, screenwriting, cinema in general, it will push you to write more scripts. That's the fun part. You are watching a movie and you think that, oh, I want to write something. You are listening to a music, oh, I want to write something. You are listening to maybe an opera or a Broadway show or a musical. You think that you want to write something. There is a musical and you want to adapt it to the cinematic medium. There are instances like that. Then a book. One of the most common examples. You read a book and you feel like it should be made into a movie. But the criticism that comes is the book is better than the movie is better than the book. They both are good, they both are bad. I hope the last option is not correct, because if they both are bad, you won't be thinking about making the movie. So one thing you can think about, the book was bad. When I wanted to make it into a movie, then it should be, a good movie. That can be a good excuse. Otherwise, sometimes there are risky ventures you can take and you can make films based on that, and not everybody can make those movies. But that is the fun part, excitement, adventure, and you are taking that challenge, you are taking that adventure, and you are telling that story, your own way, your particular way, and you want to tell that story, and that itself is enough. So, screenwriting motivation, you can write a lot of scripts. The way you will arrange them, that can be a big thing. The way you want to tell the story cinematically. The way you want to tell the story cinematically, you can play with that a lot, So, scenes, how you create scenes and art. And when you create those scenes, people will remember those scenes, dialogues, and characters, how the characters are going through an arc, journey, the interplay of characters. We have mentioned all these things. But those characters can come from real life examples. Those characters can come from that book. Those characters can come from a fantasy world you are imagining. Those characters can come from, something you are thinking that can exist in the future. Or maybe they have existed in the past. You are going through a research and you are also building an imaginary world, Those characters could have been there. The situation could have been there. And you are writing an entire movie based on that. So all these things, you can do. But life, world, humanity, characters, context, subtext. So the technical elements are there, the techniques, the art of it, emotions, how you are structuring that thing, the narrative, storytelling, whatever you are doing, but you are building a world and you are conveying something. And the audience, they are enjoying it. They are enjoying it. Now, when they are enjoying it, that enjoyment, when we talk about, that means we are talking about a great kind of enjoyment. So if you start with writing that kind of script, then what you do is, you're also thinking about that, how the scene will be enjoyed, how the characters will be enjoyed, how I myself am enjoying those characters and the scenes while writing it. If I don't feel like that, then I can improvise. This will be a better dialogue. This will be a better scene. This will be a better character. So continuously we are trying to improve. Somewhat when we reach a place, we think that this is the final thing when we can go into the movie. Processes, some people do it, few lucky people can do it with the first draft. Some people can do it with few times. Some people can take, 20, 25 drafts, sometimes 40, 50 drafts. Some people have gone through, 100 drafts, can be there. if you are too meticulous about it. But what happens is sometimes you are given instruction to write a script. So you have to write a script within a stipulated timeline, and people are paying you for that. So you have a job. So you have the stipulated timeline and you have to come up with a script. You don't have the scope for experimentation. And sometimes you are writing a script because you want to write a script. So what you are doing is you want to tell that story. You want to talk about those characters. You want to talk about that world you are creating. And you also have an idea how it will look cinematically. Maybe you are writing those things, with the scenes. So some people write very descriptive scenes in the script. Some people are coming up with few things. Some people are coming up with, few dialogues. Some people are coming up with more dialogues, and the situation can demand a lot. And many things you can play with. So ultimately what you are doing is you are building a world from scratch. You can do a lot of innovation, but what happens is, what we will suggest here, if you want to be really genuine about writing a script, you can really come up with great characters, great scenes, and it will evoke a lot naturally, because you feel like telling the story, you feel like writing the script, and when you play with those, stylistic elements, this thing, that thing, I should put things here, I should put this thing here, I should put that thing there, just for the sake of putting it, then what happens is sometimes it can draw attention. Maybe the normal audience won't get it, but the critics can get it. So what happens is we are already using those elements. We are using those things. We are using those creative techniques. But somehow we are telling the story in such a way that is grabbing the audience. And we are creating the world. And sometimes, you are looking for drama, suspense, thrill. Sometimes just the story is happening. And it is showing you the world as it is. And you are looking forward to the next scene. You are looking forward to what is to come. You are looking forward to, what will happen to the characters. You are looking forward to what will happen to this particular situation and how it will evolve. If there is a problem, will it be solved? If there is a conflict, will there be a resolution? Some movies are ending with a question. I have talked about that. And some movies are giving you the answers. Some movies are showing you something that can, think for a while. What actually happened? You are thinking that person is thinking that, what actually happened? So we can play with many things. Sometimes it is just a romantic story. Two people, more than two people, they are just taking a walk, they are just going to some place, and sometimes family stories, romance, and we are enjoying that. So screenwriting motivation can come from different places. Ultimately, when you are writing it, you are being very genuine about it. And that's it. I think that itself is a big thing. When you are genuine about writing the story or writing the script, I think people will get it. Then it's just a matter of, getting the right team to make it so that you do justice to the story and you do, make it in the proper way and it goes to the audience.